Please take your seats. Gosh, this is great. I got to tell you, my booking agent called me and she said, "You have been invited to speak at the NSRA." And I said, "Absolutely. The National Street Rod Association, I would not give that." And so I got here and I'm like, man, the street rodders don't look anything like I expected. This, I can say safely and completely honestly, is the most shed-related event I have ever been at. And so thank you for that. Thank you for giving me a once-in-a-lifetime experience. This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Every show that I do is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Every audience is different. Thought about that? Think about that. This is a event that will never happen again in our lives. We will never have this collection of humanity together in the room. We will not be in this arrangement with these particular circumstances. It will only happen once in this moment. And I'm apparently the only one who's excited about it. Once in a lifetime. Thanks for letting me come and be a part of this. I feel like I belong. I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said, "Early to shed, early to rise, will give a man storage for the things that he buys." Yeah, that was good old Ben Franklin. Had his finger on the pulse of what we're doing here today. I am used to doing conservative crowds. They told me that you're a conservative crowd. Is that true? You guys conservative? If you guys are a conservative crowd, just leave your hands in your laps. Perfect. I'm actually used to this. I live in Indiana, and that's the proper level of enthusiasm for that announcement. Thank you. I live in Indiana, a little north of Indianapolis, and a little south of Goshen, where there are lots and lots of Amish people. And I've done shows, I'm not kidding, I've done lots of shows for Amish people up in Shipshewana, up in Goshen, kind of the mecca of Amishdom. Mecca. They actually refer to Goshen in Mecca as the Goshen for Muslims. Brand new. So what I'm saying is that I do pretty well generally with conservative audience. You are my people. Conservatives are my people. I'm a Christian church guy. We don't clap and raise our hands or demonstrate any sort of spirituality. We try not to. We try not to let people know. And conservatives, I love conservatives. I love the Amish people. I've made a lot of friends with Amish people. I made a lot of friends with Mennonites because I thought they were Amish. But the Amish have taken me into their community. When I go up there, I've got friends. I belong, and that's what this is all about. I belong. The Amish people have brought me in as an outsider and made me part of their community. They took me deer hunting. Which is fascinating. If you've ever been deer hunting with the Amish, you know how they do it? They sneak up on the deer and build a barn around it. It's stunning. Absolutely stunning. But I want to applaud you guys especially for something that I have made note of when I found out that you actually are not street rodders. I did a little research, found out what you do. And there's a parable that Jesus told in the book of Luke, and you may be familiar with it, about a man who decided that he was going to build bigger barns. He thought he had everything he needed, all bunch of things stockpiled, so I'll just build bigger barns, and then I will eat, drink, and be merry. And that didn't work out too well for him. And that was not a wise decision that he made. And you people, you beautiful people, took that parable and you said, how can we help? He went, We're not going to make the mistake that he made. We're not going to build bigger barns. We're going to build sheds. Good for you. All right, I'll give you my synopsis, my philosophy of life. I think we live in a culture that takes itself too seriously. Would you agree with that? That people, got one guy that agrees with me? It's you and me, pal, till the rest of the night. We take ourselves too seriously. There's a lot of people that are all stressed out, all keyed up, all anxious about the way things are because they take everything as a really, really big deal. And I don't think that that should be the way Christians operate. I think Christians should show the rest of the world how to laugh and have a good time. You agree with that? Me and you again. Because Christians have the most stuff to laugh about. We got Christian people here? Still just me and you. All right. Did you guys forget this is live? I can actually see you and we can, this is not a YouTube video. It's okay to talk. And it's okay not to. I don't want to put any pressure on you guys. I know you're conservatives. But we have the most things to laugh about, we Christian people. And I'm talking about you and me, basically. Because we get to spend forever in heaven. You get to spend eternity with God. Nothing that matters happens down here in the scope of eternity. When you talk about forever, the things that we get so worked up about, worried about, they don't matter. Your lot in life, if you're a doctor down here on earth, there's no sickness, there's no disease in heaven. We don't need you. If you're a lawyer down here, you probably won't get to heaven, so lighten up. Even if you're a minister, we have any ministers here? Anybody? Pastors, preachers? Way in the back? What's your name? Yell it out loud. What is it? Lenny? All right. Well, think about it, Lenny. With Moses, the patriarchs, all of the apostles, and Jesus up there, you think they're ever going to ask you to preach? Sit down, Isaiah. Lenny's going to share. Going to tell us what Paul said. There is zero chance I will be asked to speak at Lenny's church. And that's fair and deserved. It's a once-in-a-lifetime moment. So Christian people, what I'm saying is that we've got to set the bar. People are dying out there. People are suffering out there because there's not enough laughter. They don't know. They don't know who's in charge. They get all burdened down with things that they can't control. And it's our job to sort of shed see how I use the word? Shed some light and some levity on their situations. Here's the thing. It's okay to laugh at other people as long as you first know what's funny about yourself, right? That's the rule. I know a lot of people may disagree, but those people are wrong. It's okay to laugh at other people as long as you know what's funny about yourself. The good news is, Christians, that there's tons of stuff that's funny about us. I mean, funny stuff is right in front of us, but we're not paying attention to it. We say things. Christian people, church people, we say things all the time, and we're not even listening to it. We say stuff like, we're just here to introduce people to Jesus. We just want to introduce people to Jesus. And Jesus already knows everybody, doesn't he? Like, I know how many hairs you have on your head, but I'm not good with names. I actually heard a preacher say God is moving here. God is moving here. And I thought, wow, this must be a nice neighborhood. He lives in heaven. He's moving here. Your property value is going to skyrocket. Can you imagine having God as a neighbor? That would be awful, wouldn't it? I feel like he's always watching us. We put up a privacy fence that's doing nothing. This nice lady in church walked up to me recently. And if you don't go to church, this is why you should. Because you're missing out on stuff like this. If you forsake the assembly, you miss out on stuff like this. This nice lady walked up to me and she goes, John, God is not finished with you yet. And I think she's probably right, but I do think he's done making improvements. Because I turned 60 last week, and things are still changing, but they're not getting better anymore. It's like God is looking down in heaven every day. All right, I'm not done with John yet. What can we do? I know, we'll push the veins in his legs a little closer to the surface. So when he wears shorts, it looks like an aerial map of Argentina. We'll take that hair off the top and jam it in his ears. Shove it up his nose. It's like I got 2 little car washes down there. Get that one long one that grows straight out. You know what I'm talking about? It grows down and makes a right turn somehow. Parallel to the ground, it just gets longer and longer, defying gravity. You can't see it in the mirror because it's coming right at you. I didn't even know it was there until the guy sitting in front of me at church started going like this. It's okay to laugh. My observation has been that the Christian people are uptight about it because they don't know. I get this question, like I said, this is not the first time I've ever done comedy, contrary to what you may be thinking. I travel around and do shows in different places, and I do a lot of shows in church. I do comedy clubs, I'll do cruise ships, I work on cruise ships, college campuses, do a lot of corporate events. But church people are the only people that ever ask me this question. After a show, some church person will walk up to me and they'll go, "Do you think God has a sense of humor?" And I'm like, "Well, I think he made church people." Of course God has a sense of humor. Where did we get it? We didn't think up laughter. That wasn't our idea. That was given to us by a higher power that knew we were going to need it to get through life. Because he knew we were going to have hardship. He knew we were going to struggle. He knew we were going to get married. He knew stuff was going to happen. And so laughter is a gift. It is a gift. And that gift is manifest in every single one of you. God put something stupid in every single one of you that the rest of the world is supposed to laugh at. And when you cover up your stupidity, you are robbing people of a blessing. That's called a sin. So you've got to first notice what's funny about yourself, and then, more importantly, share it. Share it with the people you love. Share it with strangers. We don't have enough people who are willing to let their stupid fly. And that's what the culture needs. I hesitated to do this because I've got a little sign here, and we'll do this democratically. In fact, I didn't even unzip my bag. That's how sure I was that I wasn't going to use this. But I'll take a vote. I've got a little sign that I found in a church that I don't normally show to conservative audiences. Would you like to see the sign? Okay, so this is on you. This is a sign that I got out of a church, and I sincerely, really did get it out of a church. People will always come up afterwards and go, "You made that sign, didn't you? You made that sign yourself." I did not make this sign. This is an actual sign that I got out of an actual church. That was sitting on a table in the little room that you go through before you get into the sanctuary. What do you guys call that room? Foyer? Narthex. Anybody call it? That's what they call it, the narthex. It's like, did you get that out of our narthex? And I'm like, what? I thought the narthex were hunted to extinction 100 years ago. I thought we killed them and made coats out of their pelts. Is that narthex? No, it's imitation vestibule. That's a great joke. I don't care. That is a fine joke. All right, so my friends, I got this out of a church, and it had been sitting on that table I don't know how long, And all I did was I pulled it off and showed it to them. Apparently, they didn't notice it. I showed it to them. It's the official bra drop-off location. Is anybody else intrigued by this at all? The official bra. How many unofficial places have we dropped them off? We have no idea what happened to them. If I was an atheist, I would go to this church just to see what their choir looks like. All right, we'll reel it back now. You ever thought about this? God could have made us any way he wanted. You know, he could have made us any way he wanted. He could have designed humans in any form that he thought up. An infinite number of ways that he could have created us. And he did what you've got going on. Look at your neighbor. I mean, it had to be a joke, right? It had to be for the humor content. And there are people here in our midst, beloved people, who are terrified of somebody laughing at them. But God, in his infinite wisdom and love, was so certain that you need to be part of the comedy that he's writing, that he's actually built it into your physiology. It's built into your body. All of us. Comedy is going to burst forth whether you like it or not. Eventually, you are going to sneeze. And there is no dignified way to pull that off. That's by God's design. Sneezes fall into several categories. There's people like me, and you always know when I'm about to sneeze because I give a big performance leading up to it. I'm like, and then it's gone. It just disappears. But then I got a friend of mine that there is no warning when he sneezes. You're in the middle of a conversation and And then my sister, Bonnie, when she sneezes, and it's usually girls that do this. It's usually just the ladies that do this. There's a big buildup. She goes, that cannot be good for you, ladies. You can't have without chew. That has to go somewhere. It's going to wind up on your thighs. That's not cellulite. That's unreleased chew. You should turn that loose. You ever done this at church on a Sunday? You don't have time for breakfast. You race out the door, settle down in your seat. Minister gets up to preach. It's dead quiet in the room, and you're sitting there. I think that's the Holy Spirit moving. You ever been sitting in church and choke on your own spit? That's great. Pray for me. Farts are funny. No, I know there's people that disagree with that. And they're like, no, they are not. And with all due respect to you proper people, you're wrong. They're proof that God has a sense of humor. They're not just funny, they're divinely funny. It takes the mind of a perfect, loving creator to think up and gift us with that perfect, universal punchline. It requires no setup. You don't have to speak the language. And no matter how many times you've heard it before, it still gets a laugh. That is genius, my friends. I picture God up in heaven after he made man, pretty proud of himself, brings the angels over. Hey, come here, look at this. Look what I made. It's man. Now, from time to time, gas is going to build up inside, have to come out. I could have had it float out through the pores. That's what I did with the plants. But I had a better idea. Check this out. Whew, that is hilarious. What's that smell? I know, I thought that up too. That is so deaf people can appreciate them. Right? Jesus went around with 12 fishermen. Fishermen. Do you think they were sitting around the campfire? Oh, excuse me. No. James and John were called the sons of thunder. I paid attention in Sunday school. So, it's okay to laugh. You got to notice what's funny about yourself. And funny is right under your nose. Any person in this room could trade places with me. The only difference between you and me is I've just paid attention and you maybe haven't. Because there's funny stuff everywhere. You're doing funny things all the time. Every person in this room has done what I'm about to describe. Whether you've been in a car going down the road and you pass a semi-truck and you lean towards the window and go, it's pretty stupid. You know what you've never seen? You've never seen a semi-driver pass you and go. There's a little delay in that screen. The same thing there, too. Yeah. Some of you guys watching the screen, I'm right here. It's the same size. And if you're watching the screen, you're living in the past, my friends. That's old. I think proof that God has a sense of humor is in the way there are just funny things that sort of spring out of nowhere. I was knocking around online recently, and do you guys have the internet here in Knoxville? No? Okay, well, it's coming. It's hard to describe, but when it gets here, you'll know. You go, that's what he was talking about. That's pretty cool. So I was online, and I found a town in Arkansas. And the name of the town is spelled Flippin. I would move there because everything is funny at that point. Hey, I'm John, and I'm from Flippin, Arkansas. Family and I are at the Flippin Church of Christ every Sunday morning. I graduated from Flippin High School. There's my Flippin diploma. Go Birds. I don't know what they're called. I have no idea. But we can agree, can't we? If it's anything other than birds, that is a missed opportunity. It's a real place. You can go to their Flippin website, and you will discover that they have no idea that they're hilarious. It's kind of sad. Their website is very serious. Information about their Board of Education, their Chamber of Commerce. There's a picture of a squad car on the website. It says on the side of the car, Flippin' Police. How do you miss a thing like that? How do they keep a straight face in emergencies? Somebody call the Flippin' cops! They are robbing the Flippin' bank! All of my Flippin' money's in there! You get the idea. You can write the rest of your jokes yourself. All the Flippin' jokes. I also think that marriage and family is proof that God has a sense of humor. I mean, it had to be. How many married people do we have here? Okay. Looks like an odd number. All right. There's about half, I guess. About half the room is married, and the other half. I don't know exactly how that works out. This is the first time I've ever been among so many shed people. I don't know how this works with you, but a lot of times it's a it's a majority. Anyway, um, I think that it is proof that God has a sense of humor because he's made us so different. I picture him bringing the angels over again. I picture that a lot. And he goes, hey, come over here. Come here. Remember that man I made? Yep. Well, I put him down there in the garden, and I made a woman. That's her. And I put them down there together. And they're nothing alike. They have different sensibilities. They have different emotional levels. They have different ways of processing information. They have different priorities. And I'm going to make them spend the rest of their lives together. He started with man first, right? He made man. Then he took a rib from that man and made woman. And clearly that was the rib that we used to use to read minds. There's not as many married people in here as said just a second ago. She can and we can't, right? I mean, that's another thing that our culture gets wrong. The culture thinks that marriage is being compatible, or the secret to relationships is being compatible. And compatibility means liking the same things, being in the same place at the same time, dressing the same, being carbon copies of each other emotionally and intellectually. And that's not compatibility. That's mundane. Compatibility is like jigsaw puzzle pieces. Well, they don't necessarily look anything alike, but they fit together, and that's what makes the whole picture. We've got a culture that doesn't know how to stay together. They don't know how to belong to each other. So when you've got an entire organization where it's about belonging together, that doesn't compute with a lot of folks. A lot of people don't feel like they belong anywhere. They don't know how to belong in their own families. They don't know how to belong in their own churches. They just don't know how to belong. And you can see it in the way when you talk to them. I got a lot of friends who tried to make marriage work, and it didn't. Everything fell apart, and they all say the same thing. They go, oh, we tried, John. We tried. We tried. We tried. But you know what we discovered? We discovered that we were two different people. No kidding. That's kind of the point. If you're exactly the same, one of you is unnecessary. And maybe that's what marriage is. Spending the rest of your lives together trying to figure out which one of you don't need. And it's a much more interesting way to do it than to fight about it and be sad about it. My wife and I are nothing alike. My wife and I are completely different. There are things that are super, super important to my wife that I do not care about at all. Things like conversation. My wife thinks that communication is very important, and that's because she's good at it, and you tend to favor the things that you're good at. Now, my wife can strike up a conversation anywhere with anybody at any time. She's like a ninja conversationalist. She can just make conversations appear. Like magicians pull rabbits out of a hat. That's how she is. I'm like, I can't think of anything to talk about. Well, I can. We went out to eat, and we're sitting at this table in the restaurant, and this couple walks by. Now, we have never seen them before in our entire lives. My wife looks up and goes, oh, I love that jacket. That's Neiman Marcus, isn't it? It is Neiman Marcus. How'd you know? I saw it in the catalog. Where'd you get it? I got it in New York. What'd you go to New York for? My sister and husband live in New York. They do. Yep. Do they have kids? Sure do. Do you have pictures? The phone will ring at our house, and Lori will scoop it up out of the cradle. Yes, we still have a landline. She'll scoop it up and go, hello? Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, that's no problem. All right. Hey, next week, you want to get together and have breakfast? Okay, that'll be fun. All right. I'll see you then. I love you too. Bye-bye. Who was that? Wrong number. I've only known one guy in my life, one man in my entire life, who could keep up with the woman in his life, sort of, conversationally. And that was my great-grandfather, Great-Grandpa Frank. Now, Great-Grandpa Frank and my great-grandmother, Mamie, were married for 70 years. 70 years together. And during all of that time, he paid attention. He had 7 decades to analyze, to study, to get to know his wife. And so after all of those years and all of that vigilant observation, he learned and he knew that if he waited long enough, eventually she was going to have to breathe. And that is when he would say things. Maybe he would say things to us boys like, "Oh, you boys, don't put your finger in your nose. Don't put your finger in your nose." And he would be behind her and say, "If you're not supposed to put your finger in your nose, why does it fit?" My grandfather used to have handkerchiefs, and he carried handkerchiefs. I'm not. Sometimes I take a survey to find out how many people here would be carrying handkerchiefs, but I'm not going to because I don't care. But part of the reason that he started doing that is because we've noticed that as we got older, as we'd been married a while, we noticed that our wives would continue to ask us questions. My wife, I've been married for 36 years. I've been married 36 years. And thanks. And my wife, of 36 years, when I first got married, my wife would ask me questions, and I didn't know the answers to them, but I thought I'd get better. I thought I would figure things out. But I haven't. And now, 36 years later, she continues to ask me questions that I still don't know the answers to. And so there's 2 ways of looking at that. You can look at that like, well, gee, John, you haven't really learned anything in 36 years. That's kind of sad. And that may be true. But at the same time, she's been married to me for 36 years, and I've never answered a question yet. So why is she still asking questions? I mean, who's the bigger dummy here? Guys, have you ever been asked questions by your wives that you don't know the answers to? All right, I've made it this far without you. I can go the distance. My wife asked me questions, and women, I think, do this. I think all wives do this, even though you didn't want to volunteer and help me out. But I think they do. They ask questions because they're women. They can't help it. And they're not just easy questions. They're not like mathematical questions or measurement questions or tensile strength questions. They're stuff like, they're deep. They're impossible, probing questions that no man has ever known the answer to. Questions like, what are you thinking? I'm a guy. I'm thinking nothing. She doesn't believe me because girls can't think nothing. When their minds are blank, there's still billions of calculations flying through them, angles being considered, thoughts being processed and organized. She's like a 4 gigahertz, 256 terabyte file-serving computer. And I'm like that little solar calculator that they give away with cigarettes. And the thing is, I still spend time with guys. I mean, I go out with my guy friends, and we talk. Never once have I ever said, "Hey, Al, what you thinking?" Because I don't care. And plus, he's a guy. He's thinking nothing. There's nothing going on. Does this ever happen to any of you other guys? Saturday morning, I'm minding my own business on my way out to mow the yard or something, and she'll stop me. Are you going to wear that outside? I'm just going to mow. What's the big deal? Look at your shirt. Look at your pants. Look at those socks. I don't want the neighbors to see you looking like that. Sunday morning, I come out the same door on the way to church, and she stops me again to appraise her outfit. Okay, sweetheart, how do I look? I'm like, I am not qualified to dress myself. Are you setting me up? Thank you. Why are you setting me up? There are certain things, though, that the combination of male and female, again, God in his infinite wisdom, didn't give all of the abilities to one. He looked down from heaven. You know the story. In Genesis, he looked down. He said, I've made the water and the sky, and it is good. And I made the animals and the plants, and it's good. And I made the fish, and it is good. And I made man, and he goes, oh, that is not good. I can't leave him down there by himself. He will absolutely wreck the place. So I need to make him a helper. I need to make him a helpmate. That's what he did. I don't know why he thought giving her a mind of her own would be helpful. A lot of people are upset by that joke, but it's actually a compliment. That's okay. You can thank me afterwards. But it's the pairing between the two that makes life interesting, and it also makes life frustrating, and there's the rub. A lot of people are familiar with the friction. They're familiar with the tenseness. They're familiar with the fights and the anxiety, but they overlooked the funny part, the fact that this other person is capable of doing things that you can't fathom. You know, things that would never cross your mind to do are second nature to this person. You know, I can't take my own temperature when I'm sick. You know, when I'm sick, I can't do a lot of things. When I get a really, really high fever, like 99, I'm useless. I'm getting better because we have the internet where I live, and they have a thing called WebMD now. And so if you're sick, you can just go and type your symptoms in to the website, and it'll tell you exactly what's wrong with you. I did that at Christmas time, and it turns out I had a cyst on my ovaries. And doctor's not going to tell you that. I saved a copay. But I can't take my own temperature when I don't feel well, because we've got a glass thermometer. We don't have one of those radar detectors that you point at it and it says error. We've got a glass one, and it's like a crystal ball to me. And so I handed it to my wife, and she said, this is the baby thermometer. Okay, not all of the men understand what's going on with that joke. She'll have to explain it to you. It's not supposed to taste like Vaseline, guys. I thought that was thermometer flavor. Nope, it's not. All right, any questions? Any questions? All right, got to figure out how to land this plane. Figure out how to get you to leap to your feet and carry me around the room on your shoulders like they did at the Hot Rod Association. All right, here's what I'll do. I will finish with two things: with my favorite scientific finding of all time, and then a street joke that I will give you. All right. Now, my favorite scientific finding is because my dad was a science teacher growing up, and when your parents are teachers, it's just expected that you're going to know things that your parents teach. You know, it's just what happens. Oh, your dad's a science teacher. I'll bet you know a lot about science. And it's like, well, what does your dad do? He's a mailman. Oh, I bet you know all the zip codes. I got beat up a lot by mailmen's sons. But I do know some things about science. I think science reveals the glory of God, and when you look at nature, it's stunning. It reveals a lot about the designer. And so I've sort of developed an interest in science, and this is my favorite scientific finding of all time. And it's probably going to be yours, too. So when people stop you in the streets and ask, what is your favorite scientific finding of all time? And you know they will. You can say this. According to science, goldfish have a 6-second memory. I know, that's worth the price of the admission right there, isn't it? 6 seconds. And I guess it makes sense that a fish would have a short memory, right? You can tell that by looking at the system that we use to catch them. That would never work on an animal that could remember stuff. Big school of fish swimming around, drop a worm on a hook right in the middle of them. Fish is thinking, hey, there's a worm. Oh, Frank's got it. It's a trick. It's a trap. They got Frank. He's gone. He's gone. Hey, there's a worm. And then the scientists tell us fish is brain food. Huh. I actually went sport fishing. This is an aside. I went sport fishing with a friend recently. I don't know if you've ever done that. Sport fishing, like at a pay lake, where you pay money to go and fish. And so you pay to go and float around on a boat. You burn the same gas money. You spend the same money on bait. And then you just let the fish go. You just turn them loose. Human beings are the only animals that would ever conceive of catch and release as a fun thing to do. A grizzly bear is never going to storm into your camp, yank you out of your sleeping bag. Roar! Go back and tell his buddies in the woods he was that big. Scrappy little guy. Can't do that with other sport. You couldn't do anything. Couldn't do shoot and release duck hunting either. You're free, little fella. All right. So this is my street joke. And again, I want to emphasize that I did not write this joke. All right. This is a joke that I lifted from a friend of mine. Now, I am a guy who hears a lot of jokes. Because of what I do, people tell me all kinds of jokes. I've only heard this joke once, and it was by the person who told it to me. And so this is an obscure joke, but it has become one of my favorites. Why am I telling it to you? Here's why, as we bring this to a grand crescendo. I really do think that it's our job to send some light and some levity and some sunshine into people's lives. And if I was to pass the microphone around and say, everybody should tell a joke that they know, some of you would have a hard time narrowing it down to one joke. Some of you have a whole library of jokes that you, at your disposal, can whip out anytime you want. But some of you can't remember a single joke. Some of you would have anxiety. I don't know a joke. I don't know a joke. So I'm going to gift you with this joke that I heard so that when the situation arises in the future, I don't know when it's going to be. It'll be sometime soon. When the situation arises and the Holy Spirit taps you on the shoulder and says, tell that joke, then you will have a joke that you can tell. And this is, in my estimation, a pretty good joke. It's, you can call for attention. You can say to the people, hey, did you guys hear about the chicken that went into the library? And they will say no. And you can say, yeah, a chicken went into the library, walked up to the counter, and said to the librarian, book. That's not even the joke. We're just getting started. So the librarian hands the chicken a book, which she sticks under her wing, goes out the door, disappears down the street. The next day, the chicken comes back, returns that first book, and says to the librarian, so the librarian hands the chicken 2 more books, which she sticks under her wing, goes out the door, and disappears down the street. The next day, the chicken comes back, returns those 2 books, and says to the librarian, book. So the librarian hands the chicken 3 books. Chicken goes out the door. The librarian thinks to herself, I'm sensing a pattern here. She's curious. That's what makes her such a great librarian. She says, I'm going to follow the chicken out the door. So she does. She follows the chicken out the door, down the street. The chicken leaves the city limits, goes out into the country, makes a left-hand turn in a long gravel driveway that leads past a farmhouse, goes past the farmhouse, out to the barn, goes around the barn in the back acreage, and there's a pond. On the edge of the pond, there is a lily pad, and on that lily pad, there is a frog. The chicken walks up to the edge of the pond, lays those books down in front of the frog, and the frog says, read it. Yeah, you've got your arms folded, but you were going to tell that joke. Here's the thing. This is a secret from a pro. Even if you mess that joke up, everyone is still going to laugh at you. Don't tell it like I did it. Don't try to mimic me. Make it your own. Infuse it with your personality. Bring a little sunshine to the people in your lives. Thanks for letting me belong with you this weekend. God bless.
All right, all right. Give it up for John one more time.